Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Tuesday Talks. It's your host, John Robinson. And boy, have I got a doozy for you. Get a little bit of feedback here. Hold on a minute. Get that thing turned off. Okay, there we go. No more echo. If you guys are good and you can hear me, okay, let me know in the comments. Let me know, John, I can hear you. John, I love your sweatshirt. John, I can't wait to hear how you screwed things up. Kevin says, I expect you to wear that sweater Thursday night. Okay, Kevin. All right. I mean, I can. It's probably going to get pretty warm in that room. It's going to be such a tight space for, boy, I just did a count this morning and I've got 32 people signed up on my list, plus my realtor partner that's we're hosting this together. She's got about 10 people signed up on her list. So we've got 42 people plus myself and her and a couple of other people signed up for a room that seats 27. And so what we're going to do is I actually sent out text messages to just about everybody today, just saying, hey, if you're not coming and you know for sure you're not coming to the TV REI group meetup, so Treasure Valley Real Estate Investors Group meetup. If you know you're not going to be able to make it, and these are for the people that have already RSVP'd, I said, hey, you guys have got to let us know because we've got people that want your seats. So I don't know, Kevin, if I'll wear the sweater or not, but I had that sweater. In fact, I just wore that sweater recently, so I'm glad you like it. Um, I have a show that's I was thinking about this. It's kind of like a first for me, meaning this is the first time I'm going to go on public record here on a live stream and tell you guys how I really made a big mistake. And so, if you're here today and you are watching this because you saw the title, I'd love for you guys to let me know. Just let me know if you're not just a regular, but you saw the title, the thumbnail title, and you're like, okay, hold on a minute. Somebody made a mistake. Deal went wrong. Yes, Peggy, this is live. This is absolutely live. So the deal went bad, and I am going to tell all here in just a minute. We're just waiting for a couple other people to jump on. But if you're here and because you saw the thumbnail, I'd like to drop a comment, say, yes, I saw it. I'm here to see. Isn't it crazy? We all have that tendency to want to know when someone else makes a mistake or did something stupid. Is that just me? I mean, I guess it's been a couple of months ago, there was a really, really big name in I guess it'd be like the entrepreneur real estate space. This is a guy who's normally doing, selfies in his garage, with a Lamborghini or something behind him. Some of you guys might know the name. Anyway, there was a bunch of news that came out. It was like a Ponzi scheme, a whole bunch of different stuff. And I don't know what's all going on, but basically he's being indicted and federal charges and Security Exchange Commission investigation. And you can't help but click on some of that sometimes, right? It's clickbait for a reason. That's what they call it for. But we all have the tendency to want to see what happened. We're driving by the car wreck. They call it rubbernecking. I've intentionally tried to learn not to do that. Just keep driving straight on because you don't want to be the cause of another wreck. But like Peggy says, I love to learn from other people's mistakes. And that's, Peggy, you nailed it. That's exactly why I'm doing this today. I'm doing this not because I take any pride in basically going on. This is live stream, right? We're on the internet. So anybody in the world could potentially be watching this and about to hear about my mistake. But I'm hoping that today's episode will help you not to make the same mistake that I did. And this is really targeted toward people that are getting into real estate investing, especially those of you who are getting into wholesaling and you're doing creative finance deals, which is really, really a big deal right now. And it's a really cool way to get into real estate creatively with little of your no money, if not zero of your own money, and lock up deals creatively, get the deal wrapped up, get it sold again. And so if that's your department or if you're having interest in that, then please stay tuned and just keep an eye out for what we're going to be going over today. So real quickly, going to check the comments. So Peggy says, I was going to come anyway. Thanks, Peggy. I know you're one of the faithful few here. Anybody else that's on, maybe you're here regularly and you are almost always on Tuesday Talks. We do this every single Tuesday afternoon, live, not scripted. We're just going on here. I'm clicking the live button. You guys have probably noticed I'm slightly improving. I'm getting a thumbnail up. It's usually up about an hour or two before. I'm trying to work on some of these things. I need a full-time executive assistant, but the thing about hiring an assistant is you have to be able to tell them what to do because you're paying them money, right? So I'm kind of working through my systems, getting my processes defined. But if you're here regularly and you're watching, or if you're new, I'd love it if you just make a little comment, say hi, let us know who you are, let us know where you're watching from, because that helps me know kind of who our audience is. Because we have different, we put this out in different Facebook groups around the country, actually. So, okay, so let's talk about my big mistake. Okay, um, my big mistake. Hey, thanks, Sherry. IG is working good, but yeah, the thing is with Instagram, it doesn't show me the comments on Instagram whenever I'm live streaming. So I can go back and look at it later, but I can't see the comments live. So if you guys are watching here today and you're watching on Instagram, then if you're making comments, I can't see you. So let's get back into my big mistake. I want to respect you guys' time today. I want to get you right into what happened and what I'm doing to fix it. And again, this is supposed to be valuable for you. So if you guys are getting value from this, please give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, give me something in the comments to let me know if this is helpful or not. So I started a couple of months ago with a deal that I came across by doing door knocks on pre-foreclosures. You guys know that method if you've been around like a Pace Morby meetup, which by the way, Pace Morby is coming to Idaho February 20th. He's going to be here in the Boise area. He's going to be in the Portland area February 18th. I hope you guys are signed up. The Creative Nation Tour, 100 cities in 100 days. It's crazy. I mean, epic, epic. So, but if you guys are anywhere in these areas, you got to get out. Go to Creative. I think it's the Creative Tour, creativetour.com, or just look up Pace Morby and you'll find it. But Pace Morby is one that's really helped a lot of people get into these creative deals. And he is absolutely kind of like the king of creative, so to speak. And one of the things that he teaches, if you don't have any money and can't even go out and produce leads, one of the things you can do is you can get with a title company. They can give you a list of a notice of defaults. They're called nods from the title company. Typically, most title companies will provide those for free. They'll email them out to you every week. You get your nods, you look up the address, and you go and you literally just knock on that front door and you say, hey, I couldn't help but notice that there was maybe some issues with the bank, or I'm not sure if you got that all squared away, but I'd love to be able to help you if I can. I know a lot of people that are in this business and they can help you stop your loan or stop the foreclosure, and they can get you turned around and get you some money in your hand. Are you interested? And a lot of people will say no. They'll tell you get lost. They'll tell you, other things that are not nice. But every once in a while, I have that person that's like, you know what? I just need to do something. Yes. By the way, I always have my little sticky notes when I go to do that. I have a little sticky notepad, and I'll leave a sticky note on the front door, just a little, comment. Hey, came by to talk to you about, some important things. Please give me a call. So I knocked on this door on Saturday. I did like a whole bunch of door knocks on pre-foreclosures in the and by the way, I love that. Some of you guys hate that, but I love it. I love knocking on the front door, seeing what I can do to help. So I knocked on the front door. Yeah, Peggy says they always say that they have it handled. Yeah, sometimes, but not today. Okay, so today this particular homeowner said, you know what? We've had a whole bunch of people come out here, and the last guy we worked with, he's not actually doing anything. He's not returning our calls. So long and short of it is, and I'll give you guys kind of the quick little short version. We got into contract with this homeowner and his wife, and we got a deal signed that was more or less going to allow me to come in and fully control the property through power of attorney, through a signed notarized contract that I use, and also I even had them pre-sign the quitclaim deed over to me, so that if I had to in a pinch, I could, sign and notarize. I could go down and just put it on record and take title, which I didn't. I don't like to do that. I'm going to talk about the nuances and some of the ins and outs on another broadcast some other day, but I got everything signed, paperwork in order. And the thing about this particular deal is there was a lot of equity in the deal, but they were also extremely close to actually being auctioned on. By the time I got power of attorney and started talking to the bank about what was going on, we found out that we had like a week to stop the auction. Okay, now you guys have heard people say before, oh, we can stop auction. Yes, that's all true, but it ain't easy, especially when it's that close to having the auction. So there are some things you can do. Just a little side note, you guys can, if you're ever in one of those situations, you can probably get the auction stopped in a pinch. You can get the auction stopped by filing for. Oh boy, I'm freezing up a little bit. Can you guys see me okay? Is it doing okay? I'm getting these. It's freezing up on me on my end. Let me know if you guys can see me okay, hear me okay. Give me a thumbs up. Somebody drop me a comment. Let me know if you guys can see me and hear me okay in the comments. Anybody out there, help me out. Can you help me? Okay, looking. Okay, cool. You guys can see me. Good. Thank you, Marina. Hey, good to see you, Marina. Marina's got her real estate license now. Okay, so going back to what we're talking about, you can stop the auction by a lot of various ways. In a real pinch, you can file for, basically, you can file for a, what is the word I'm looking for? It's bankruptcy. And when you file for bankruptcy, it automatically stops everything. Now, it only stops it for so long, and the judge has to approve it, but it at least stops the auction. So, when we do this, we try not to do. I don't try not to do that. In fact, I've never actually had to do that. I've never filed the bankruptcy because the truth is, I don't feel comfortable, even though I know that's a tactic. I don't feel comfortable about clogging up the systems, the court systems, the judicial systems with frivolous things that may or may not be true. Now, you guys have your methods. You do you, boo. Okay, but for me, I like to try to do it legally by getting the money in place to stop the auction from happening by catching up the arrears, getting everything fixed with a loan, and then beginning to make the payments again, which is what we ended up doing on this one. Literally got the auction stopped the day before the auction. Okay. And so got that done. Got the sellers some cash because there was a substantial amount of equity in this deal. There was about $200,000 of equity in this deal. The house was 6 years old. Of course, they were living in it and they were living hard in it. You know, it definitely needed damage, but I'm thinking for $200,000, you know, even if we put 50 into catching the arrears up and we have to put, you know, I don't know, 40, 50 into, you know, getting the house completely, you know, lipstick up, and we're still going to have $100,000 before we pay the agents. I mean, it was looking like a solid $60,000 to $80,000 profit based on ARVs, based on comps. We had some really good comps just a couple of blocks down. Same neighborhood, same style of home, same builder. So this was like a slam dunk, right? Slam dunk deal. Now here's the mistake that I made. Okay. And by the way, yes, Peggy says liens, and so I want to give you guys a little bit so you don't think I'm just like a total idiot. Okay, some of you probably already do. Some of you might think so, even more so after this. But I'm not, like I tell people all the time, I'm not smart. Okay, I'm not smart, but I'm also not like totally stupid. So by my not smart part is I went in and I actually got a title report. So we got a title report from the title company that I was working with. I had an agent lined up to go ahead and list the property after I got the lipstick renovation done. And I had her pull a title report. And on that title report, it was a preliminary. So on the preliminary title report, there was all the liens listed, and there were several. Okay, so there was liens from the water district. There's liens from you know, a credit card company. There was all these little liens. The HOA, of course, is behind. These folks were really behind, and there was a pile of liens. I mean, a pretty substantial amount. But that is fairly typical. It's fairly normal for these types of situations. So it's not something I wasn't used to. It's not something I didn't see. I was looking at it going, okay, well, you know, we got $200,000 cushion to work with. We're looking at, you know, I'm looking at the liens and everything like, yeah, that's, you know, they didn't tell me about that, but, you know, I know this, that, and the other. And so I made a mistake of just going off of the preliminary title report, and I gave them money, and we got everything stopped with the auction. It was not healthcare liens, Peggy. Good guess though, because that is something you have to do. Here's the mistake that I made. I did not get a full title report with every single lien item actually documented and spelled out what it was. And so what I missed was this. During the COVID era, during the COVID crisis, the lockdowns, the pandemic, whatever it is you want to call it. Okay, during that era, we all know that there was money that was being given by the federal government to the states, and the states were dispersing it through these programs, through these grants, through these different institutions that were more or less like set up as homeowner mortgage payment helpers. Okay, and so what I didn't realize was that this particular property, I saw that they had done a modification, and that modification was listed on the preliminary. Okay, but I had those numbers from the seller. They told me they'd done a loan modification. What they didn't tell me is they'd done it twice, and also they didn't tell me the full amount. What they told me was the amount was much, much more. Okay. Now I know some of you are just groaning. You're like, how could you be so dumb? And I admit it was a dumb, dumb move. Not going to do that again. Okay. But hopefully this will help you never make the mistake. What the mistake that I made once, maybe you'll make it 0 times. Right. So when I actually got when I went through and got the notation, and it said, it was like there was like a note, call this person for the full amount or the full payoff. And I was like, huh, that's interesting, because normally it's the amount is listed right there. But I mean, I kind of knew what they had told me, and I thought, okay, well, I mean, I'll get that. Well, lo and behold, when I went to actually get the full title report, we called to get the authorization and got the total amount. I'm looking at the paperwork right now. When we got the actual total amount in hand, here was what we discovered. We discovered that these folks had filed for a loan modification early on during COVID, during 2021, and they'd gotten it approved. They'd also had filed for a modification in 2023. And in 2023, that modification was for almost as much as they'd done it for the first time. So the first time, the modification was around $44,000. Okay, now remember, these modifications they vary state to state. Some programs had interest accrued, most of them didn't. This one, it was no interest accruing, no payments due, but it is a lien amount that must be paid upon transfer of title. And so I have this creative finance deal in hand, right, that I haven't actually transacted on, haven't transferred title in. I fully control it through power of attorney. I have the quitclaim deed in hand. And by the way, the sellers, this is kind of a sad story, but it just goes to show you these situations sometimes can be kind of crazy. The sellers, I got a text message or an email from my realtor agent, who was obviously working with me and had all the power of attorney. And she goes, hey, are these the people that own that property? And she sent me mug shots. I got mug shots of the seller, husband and wife seller. I don't know what exactly happened. Pretty sure it was for drug charges, but they got picked up. The cash that I gave them when they were, moving out, supposed to be moving out, that cash apparently earned them a really wild weekend and a trip to the Canyon County jail and probably into the Idaho prison system, possibly by now. That might still be in holding. But the point is this. There's really no way for me to be getting in, and I don't need to, because I fully control the property. But this is, yeah, exactly, Peggy. They bought drugs. Transfer typically come due with the title transfer. Yes. And so that's why we haven't actually transferred title yet. Now, remember, I had them sign and notarize an Idaho quit claim deed that I can literally take into the title company anytime I want. I record it, title goes in my name. Okay. So, and with Canyon County, that recording process, I don't know, every county is a little different, but I've discovered in Canyon County out here in Idaho, it's super simple. I literally just walk in with a document, tell them what I'm trying to do. They take a look at it. Boom, they stamp it, record it right then and there. It goes on public record. The property is now titled in my name. The reason why I haven't done that yet, of course, is because upon discovering that there were as an additional $80,000, $84,000 worth of liens against the property, that completely kills the deal as far as what we'd originally bought it for. It was supposed to be a very quick slam dunk, get in there, get the, kind of a novation thing, but a little bit of it's a variation of a novation. We'll have a novation variation. Sorry, couldn't help myself. But but it's supposed to be quick, slam dunk, get it done, get it on market, pay the agents, recoup all of our costs and make, like I said, anywhere from 60 to $80,000 profit, right? So this was not one of those deals that I was going to hold on to. There was really no need to. It was like being able to do a flip on a property by just structuring everything creatively and not having to actually pay full price to get into the deal. You see what I'm saying? So Peggy says I need to cut my losses. Okay. Well, we certainly might have to do that. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys how it is that I'm going to take a pivot. You guys want me to tell you how I'm going to try to pivot on this, then drop the word pivot in the comments. Give me a pivot if you want me to do this, because I want to make sure, first of all, I got to get a drink of coffee. Secondly, I want to see if you guys are tracking, if you're actually interested in that, or if I should talk about, how people go to jail sometimes for doing really crazy things. Drop a pivot in the comments, and I'm drinking my coffee. I need like filler music right here. So, man, good afternoon coffee. Okay, so Kevin says you're going to wrap it, possibly. Pivot. Okay, good. You guys have some interest. Good. Here's what we're planning on doing, at least for now. Okay, first of all, I'm working on having the realtor go ahead and get everything ready to go. Okay, so I want to be able to put it on the market and see what happens. That's my first plan. Okay. And by the way, if you guys are watching this right now live, and if you're watching it from Instagram, I can't see your comments. I'll have to see those later. I'm reading comments from YouTube and Facebook. So I'm sorry, I don't know why it is. StreamYard doesn't let me read the comments from Instagram on here, but I'll go back and see your comments later. So here's the thing. Whenever I have a situation like this, and I haven't had a lot of them, but whenever I do, I always want to try to have at least 2 or 3 exit options, right? So what I mean by that is this: I don't just want to cut my losses, but I don't want to take that option off the table either. In other words, sometimes you have to just let the thing go. Okay, so you guys have all probably heard the illustration of how the British soldiers going through, during the days of the colonial movements of the British Empire and into India and Africa. I think it was in India, they were putting in these railroad lines and things. These monkeys that were all over the jungle, and they wanted to catch them. How many of you guys remember how they caught these monkeys? Anybody remember that? Now, the way that they caught those monkeys is they would get a jar with a small mouth, at the head, but then it kind of opened up into a big thing. They put 2 or 3 shiny objects down inside that jar, and the monkeys would reach their hand in there, which could easily fit through the hole. But once they got in and grabbed that shiny object that they were going after, and they were gripping it, and they went to pull it back up, they couldn't get their hand back up through the mouth of the jar. Okay, and they would actually come and they'd find these monkeys, and they'd be able to just snatch them because they wouldn't let go of the thing that was holding them back. What a great illustration, right? So what I'm saying that for is because at the end of the day, if I have to take a loss on this and just move on, then I certainly will. I'm not going to let this thing become an albatross around my neck. And as I say that, I want to say this to some of you. Some of you, the reason why you haven't been able to move forward with your real estate investing journey, with your business, maybe even with life, is because you're not willing to let stuff go. Can I get a witness? Somebody give me an amen up in here. Okay. It's like Myron Golden says, I wish I could get some help in here. Okay. So guys, sometimes you have to just let things go. I totally get that. I live that. I think that's something you just have to decide. You have to take the emotional part out of it and just say, this is what's best. Just let it go. Take a loss, move on. Okay. But before I just take a loss, I'm going to get it listed because I want to see what the market tells me. I want to get it listed. I want to see what the interest is. I want the agent to be monitoring, seeing what the open houses look like, because I want to kind of test the market and say, hey, if I could sell it right now, if I could sell it and just pay everything off, pay everything back, and just recoup what I've put into it and just be done with kind of this, this project, well, then if I can do that, pay the agents, pay my closing costs, recoup everything, and not go in the hole, then Yeah, okay, you know, what it is what it is, part of real estate, right? And not every deal is a win, especially when you don't cover your bases and do things right by getting a full title report and checking every single one of those items marked, okay? Don't assume anything. But now that I'm in the spot I'm in, am I supposed to sit around and cry about it, bellyache about it, whine about it, say, real estate is, not fun? Well, it's not always fun. That's who said it was going to always be fun? Okay, who said business was always going to be fun? Who said life was always going to be fun? It's not all Instagram reels and bed of roses. So what I'm planning on doing is, besides putting on the market at the same time, what I've been doing is I've been talking to investors in the local area here. This is the Boise Treasure Valley market. And I've been talking to people that are maybe not investors yet, but they're high income earners and they have money that they need to park into real estate in order to get some of the tax benefits. They need to be an owner on title so they can get certain benefits for investment properties. And I've been talking to some of these folks about the possibility of coming in and partnering with me. And so the way I'm presenting it or pitching this is this, saying, hey, um, if you bring the $80 to $100,000 that we need to get all of this money recouped, so recover our losses, then you're going to step into an ownership position with me where we will be 50-50 partners on this property. I have done all of the heavy lifting. So I've done that. I found the deal, negotiated, obviously not very well on this one, but still negotiated the contracts, got everything signed, fully control the property, got the loan caught up, been making the payments, got all the repairs done. By the way, these people lived like, I don't want to say animals because there's animals that usually take better care of themselves, but these folks had absolutely destroyed this 5, 6 year old house. And so this house was brand new when they moved into it. And whenever I actually took possession of it, every bit of flooring had to be replaced. All of the doors were damaged, punched off the hinges. Trim had to be replaced around the entire house. Um, Broken window panes. I mean, guys, how do you break not just one window, but 6 or 7 windows in the same house? Okay. And like, I mean, talking about like holes, like all the way through. You got broken double pane window. There's a hole in one and a hole on the outside pane. They got duct tape over it or clear tape. The house is just destroyed. Okay. Had never cleaned it since they moved in. So the entire kitchen is full of grease. They got fly traps hanging from the ceiling. Ugh, fly tape, I mean, just nasty. Okay, so this place was destroyed. We had to put a lot of I had to repaint the interior, obviously, repaint the exterior, replace the overhead garage door that had been run into 3 or 4 times. There's an old car in the garage that I'm pretty sure might have been stolen. Anyway, it's like everything you wouldn't think that this much work needed to be done to a house that's only 6 years old, built brand new, moved into, and then just totally wrecked. But it was. We did it. We had to go in. We got everything done, turnkey. Here's the thing that I found out, another surprise on this one. Okay, so we're in the middle of like, oh man, we got all these modifications that have to be paid back if we sell it right now. By the way, if we don't transfer title right now, then I don't have to pay those modifications back. Remember, there's no interest, no payments due. So in other words, even though it took a huge chunk of my equity out of the deal, it's not necessarily changing or impacting the monthly fee structure. It's not affecting the debt, the monthly cost of the debt, right? So in other words, if I hold on to this property for a couple of years, it's very likely that in this particular area that the property values are going to go up, and that's just based on a lot of different things I know about this market. I'm almost positive we're going to see an increase in property values. And remember, when you hold on to property, the longer you hold it, typically the higher in value it grows. Okay. So I'm in this property. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with these liens. And then I get a call. I have somebody on my team call down and hey, get the water turned on. We got to get the toilets working, everything in there. I got a plumber coming over to snake all the lines because I've seen houses like this before where people were losing the house to the bank and they dumped a bag of concrete down the drain line to clog everything up, and just basically anything they can do to kind of screw the bank. And so I said I don't want to have the whole entire house repaired and then find out we had that. So let's run a snake down the line, get the plumber in here. Well, um, my office helper, my transaction coordinator, Esther. She's also my daughter-in-law and about to make me a grandpa too here in a couple of months, her and my son. But anyway, she calls me back. She says, "Hey, they said that there's a hold on that water. They won't turn water on that property." I said, "Well, that's weird. I've never had that before." So I go down to the water department, and the water department is like, "Oh yeah, we know this house. We know it very well." And when you hear somebody say that in an official role at the city or the county, you automatically are just like, "Oh boy, crap, what's about to happen?" Right? So the water department tells me, "Yeah, they got their water shut off over a year ago because they weren't paying their bill, and we gave them time and time and time, and they never caught it up. So we shut the water off." And so they somehow or another rerouted the irrigation water that, every here in Idaho, all the like your sprinkler system and your gardens and the farms all get fed by irrigation water comes down off of Bogus Basin. And so he says, yeah, they figure out a way to route water from the irrigation district, which remember, guys, this is not potable water. This is water that it goes through the dairy farms and it comes down through the mountains and has dead animals floating around in it from time to time, all that stuff, right? And so they had taken the irrigation water and somehow or another routed it into the main line going into the house. And we're using the pressure of the irrigation fed water to basically use for showers, for flushing. I'm assuming maybe they were boiling the water and drinking it. But the point is, the city of that this is in, they had said we are not turning water back on this house until that entire house has been mitigated. All the water lines have to be shock treated with a special chemical bleach compound that cleanses the line. The water lines have to be filled for at least 3 or 4 days. Then they have to be flushed properly. We have to put a backflow preventer on the property so that none of the water that's in the house goes back into the city main line. Oh, this is a nightmare, right? Yes, that is correct. And so we are still working on that. Okay. Now I've got a licensed plumber. He's already done the lines cleansing. He has to do a line flush. He had to put in a permit with the plumbing department to get the backflow preventer put in, but the permit department or the plumbing department won't issue the permit until the water district gives them the green light to go ahead and do something. So this has been an absolute nightmare. Okay, just plain and simple. This has not been a good deal at all. Like, I wish I'd never even seen this house. Wish I never even knocked on their door. Yes, Peggy, I did knock on their door. I did go in. Yes, and I went in, but you have to remember when you're going on these visits, guys, especially in pre-foreclosures. And I'll give you an illustration. I'll give you an illustration that helped me. Okay, when you think about real estate, all real estate transactions. Okay, we'll talk about all real estate transactions in the entire country. If they were all represented by this one pie, okay, so there's all real estate. Real estate in general. This is all the deals, hundreds, if not millions of deals, maybe not millions, but yeah, if include commercial, apartments, everything, that's all real estate in the entire country. Okay, we are dealing with residential real estate, and we're dealing with what effectively amounts to a tiny, tiny, tiny little sliver of the entire real estate pie. Okay, so we're dealing with this tiny little sliver of the real estate pie. My camera's all blurring because I got the background blurred, but you get the idea, right? Like, we're not talking about a huge amount of deals out there. So when you're dealing with these, this is frustrating, isn't it? If I keep on doing like this, maybe it'll work. No, it won't. The idea is we're dealing with like a small percentage of distressed sellers, distressed properties. These are deals that have serious problems associated with them. And that's part of the reason why we get such a significant discount. And it's not predatory. We're actually fixing the problem. Like, these people were thrilled to get some money. Okay. And so they were thrilled to get anything out of it because they were a week away from losing it to the auction, not getting anything. Now, I didn't give them a ton of money, but the fact is they did get some cash. They went out and blew it on drugs and got arrested. So I guess serves them right to a certain degree. But yes, Peggy, I did see the house, but what I'm saying is all that is for this. These houses all look like that. These are not people putting their best foot forward, right? These are not people that are worried about first impressions. These are people that everything in their entire life is completely falling apart. They're about to lose the house to a bank foreclosure auction, and then somebody steps up, knocks on their door, and kind of the knight in shining armor, so to speak, presents a solution that maybe they didn't know was available, and they're usually just thrilled about it. But for the same reason that we get substantial discounts, a $200,000 discount is what I had supposed. That was my fault. That was my bad. That was hopefully not something you're ever going to make the same mistake. But I assumed that what was owed on the property, plus there was going to be some liens, plus they had this modification they told me about. They told me it was about $20,000, $30,000. So I was like, okay, I mean, I know that sounds about right. I didn't know they'd done a $44,000 modification in 2021 and a $40,000 modification in 2023. So collectively, there was an additional $84,000 that was owed on the property if the title transfers at sale, which is typical, right? If you sell a house, the title transfers. We're not going to execute the sale. We're going to see if we can get an investor to come in. And by the way, it's going to have to be a particular kind of investor. If you guys remember, a couple weeks ago, I did this. What's your investor DNA? Remember that when I did that presentation at the PDX REI group meetup last month? So by the way, we're doing the same thing, except we're going to do it live in person. If you're here in the Treasure Valley, well, I can't even invite you out, because if you're here in the Treasure Valley and you haven't RSVP'd yet, then too bad, so sad. We're already completely packed out in that room. But the point is, the investor DNA, there's a certain type of an investor listed on that has the mindset of knowing they need to invest, knowing they want to own property, knowing the benefits of owning real estate, but having zero interest whatsoever in finding deals, in negotiating with sellers, in managing a renovation, in getting tenants placed, in managing turnovers. They don't want anything to do with any of that, right? But they have money that they would be happy to park if they could get 10 to 12% interest over time, or if they could get an ownership position. And so what I'm offering is, I'm basically, the way we're going to pivot on this, we're saying, hey, if someone wants to come in and drop $80,000 to $100,000 into this property, they can do it two different ways. They can do it as a short-term loan. And by short-term, to be really clear on this, we would need at least a year, if not, preferably 2 years would be ideal, but at least a year. Okay. And then and that would give them 10 to 12% interest. And the percentage of interest is going to be based on how they want the repayment structure. Okay. So I'd be happy to talk with anybody who knows that. And I am talking with some people that are here and they have some money and they're looking at putting it into a property. Okay. The other option for those types of people is this: they can come in as a 50-50 owner if they will put the money in as their investment stake. Okay. So in other words, if they put that money in, it's not guaranteed that it's going to get any interest back, but it is very likely that they will make better money on their investment than they would if it was just a loan, because they'll be getting, first of all, capital that comes in every month from the cash flow, and they'll be getting an ownership stake to where if it sells, they get 50% of the profit. So if we sell it or refinance it in a couple of years, which is what I'd really like to do, they actually make more money on the long run by just having a chunk of their cash put into a property like this with zero management, no hands-on, of course. It's just, I'm going to be managing everything. So it's my mess. I'm going to take ownership on it. You guys know that I'm a big fan of Jocko Willinks, and Jocko, of course, is Extreme Ownership, former Navy SEAL. He speaks at a lot of real estate. In fact, he's going to be speaking in Denver, Colorado at Squat Up Summit, I believe in March coming up. And that was Pace Morby was asking people a couple months ago. He's like, it's about a year ago. He said, hey, you guys have ideas for speakers? And I was like, oh, you got to get Jocko in. I've heard him speak at real estate events. He's a phenomenal author and just a human being, and met him personally. And so anyway, Pace got him come in. So that's pretty cool. But the whole idea is like extreme ownership. there's nobody to blame on this. I'm not going to blame the sellers. I'm not going to blame the title company. I'm not going to blame anybody else. I'm going to take ownership of this and we're going to fix it. We're going to find a solution. Okay. I prefer a solution that allows me to make money instead of just breaking even. But if I have to choose between breaking even or losing money, then we'll just break even, right? If I have to choose between losing a little bit of money versus losing a lot of money, then we'll just choose lose a little bit of money. Does that make sense? The idea that I want to get across today is twofold. Number one, you need to do all of your due diligence on deals, especially on creative finance deals. Okay. Everybody makes it sound like creative finance is super easy. You just got to boom, bada bing, bada bang. You get it in, you get done, you get paid, move on with life. Be careful, okay? Make sure you do your due diligence. That's why it's called due diligence. And the issue was with the timeline that I was up against. And frankly, guys, you want to know what my real problem was? I got a little bit lazy. I got a little bit dependent on the fact that I've done this before so many times. I know what to do. We stop the auction, we get it caught up, we give them a little bit of cash, we give them a week or so to get moved out, and we just get in and we slam dunk this thing. I got lazy. Okay. I got a little bit loose and it bit me. Okay. So when you play with fire, don't be surprised if you get burned, right? So it's my bad. It's my responsibility. I'm going to take full ownership. But I wanted to get on here today and tell you guys about this because I don't want to see you guys get burned, get hurt by these same deals. You've got to make sure that you do your due diligence, okay? And this is where it probably would behoove me to have someone who has the experience doing all the stuff, doing all of the follow-ups, all of the due diligence that just takes care of all that because frankly, I also just kind of lose interest in that part of it. And it's so important. I can't afford to lose interest because that's where mistakes get made, right? So twofold. Number one, make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure that you're getting all of your ducks in a row before you go do anything, and especially before money is exchanged. Okay. Secondly, this is my second part. I wanted to really get across is be able to pivot when problems come. Write that down. Type it back to me in the chat. Be able to pivot when problems come. So are we going to have problems from time to time in the real estate investing world? Yes. In business? Yes. In life? Yes. The difference between someone who lets those problems just completely destroy them or ends up getting them stuck, okay? The difference between someone who gets stuck or gets destroyed when problems come up versus those people that are able to get around it or get over it or move on, or sometimes maybe even take those lemons and turn them into lemonade. The difference is being able to pivot. You have got to get in your mind. Don't get stuck on the problem. Start looking for the pivot. Okay. Be able to pivot when problems come. That's exactly right. Thank you, Peggy. Thanks for paying attention. Thank you for your kind words. Peggy's always so nice to me. So she picks me up and gives me rides whenever I go to Portland and just picks up food for our meetups and just is all around a wonderful human being. So Peggy, thanks for being here today. But guys, it's really, really important to do your diligence and then be able to pivot if you miss something, if you make a mistake, or even something that's not your fault, but it comes along and it catches you sideways. Don't get stuck on it. Pivot and move on. By pivot, I mean find a solution that will work to allow you to continue to move on with the deal because you cannot get stuck on these problems. Cannot get stuck on these properties. You've got to find a way to move around, make it profitable. If it's not profitable, at least break even. If you can't break even, then at least don't lose too big. Okay. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Questions you have? If anybody has any questions, I'll look at the comments here for a minute. Peggy says you're my pastor too. Well, thank you, Peggy. I appreciate you. And yes, Sherry says due diligence is exactly right. It's so important. Get your ducks in a row. It's exactly right. What we do is we solve problems. And you know, sometimes by solving problems, we're going to have to get our kind of our feet dirty, so to speak, in other people's problems. That's part of the deal. But you know, I will say this: just because other people have problems doesn't mean we have to fix all of them. And that's one thing that I remember kind of realizing from this one too is just like, you know, I was so quick to want to help these people, and I knew I could, that I skipped some important steps. like I said, I got lazy, I got loose. Plus, I had that deadline coming up. So I moved into this deal quicker than I should have, quicker than I would have if I had had more time. And I definitely moved into this deal quicker than I ever will again, because there's never going to be something like this that happens again by God's grace, because I'm going to check all of the liens down to the last dime, make sure I got fully updated. I'm going to make sure that I am having honest conversations with repercussions if the sellers are not being honest. Pace Morby always says, buyers are liars and sellers are worse. That's right. Typically, the sellers are working something. I just heard a crazy story the other day about a seller who forged mortgage statements and things like that, and just really crazy stuff. I think it was Robert Harden was telling about that. So don't trust really anything that comes from a seller's mouth when they're in a distress situation. Check the paperwork, check the documents, get it from third parties, and get it really dialed in. And then make sure that when you do run into problems, you learn how to pivot quickly. Look at all the options. There's always a way to make something work. And I really do believe that. It's not just positive thinking, it's just the facts. So be creative, be willing to bring in partners. Am I going to give up 50% ownership on this if I bring in a partner? Yes. But 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. That's right. So 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. And some of the reasons why some of you are not started yet in your real estate journey, or you're stuck, or you're kind of frantic because you're trying to figure everything out yourself. You're trying to do everything yourself. I'd much rather bring a partner in on this, have them come in. I'll do all the heavy lifting. I'll do all the hard work. They just provide the financing part of it, and we'll both make money together. I'm totally fine with that. So, by the way, if you guys have someone, I think I've got somebody locked in. I believe we're going to be having a walkthrough on Saturday. But if you know anybody, they don't have to be here in Idaho. But if you know someone who would want to own property, and I believe this is going to make, by the way, it's going to make a great short-term rental property. It's got 5 bedrooms, okay, 3 bathrooms. It's also got an office on the main floor, by the master on the main floor, office on the main floor with a closet that can easily be set up in an extra bedroom. And it has a big bonus room above the garage, also with a closet. So technically, we could call it a 7-bedroom house. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to set it up as a 5-bedroom house with a big bonus playroom for families that are traveling, and then have kind of an office with a couch that can fold out into another bed. So we're going to pack this thing full of beds. I believe it'll cash flow really well. We're going to get it all staged, set up. And like I said, but in the meanwhile, we're going to just put it on the market and see what happens. But I think what we're going to have to do is go with this other option. So pivot in the right direction, and we can all move on together. Okay. Marina, thanks for being here with us today. Appreciate you. Sherry, she says equity. How much is needed? Well, to make this work, my partner would have to bring in 80,000 to 100,000, preferably 100,000. And here's why: because then we can just go ahead and get all the furniture and get this thing set up as quickly as possible. But 80 is the minimum. So, but I say 80 to 100,000, and that's going to be, just so you know, Sherry, that's going to be an ownership stake in second position. So, but they'd be fully on the paperwork and documentation listed with me. We create an LLC. We can do all that pretty quickly, pretty easily. And then they would be an owner on a property that they don't have to touch, manage, or even think about. And they just make money on it every month, and then make money whenever it sells or refinances. So again, that's what I got, guys. Learn from my mistakes. Learn from other people's mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes that I did. And hopefully, if this was valuable to you guys, then let me know. Sherry, if it's going to be a loan, it needs to be a 24-month minimum. I'd prefer someone come in and just as an owner partner with me. But if someone wants to loan the money, it would need to be a 24-month minimum. So that gives me a chance, obviously, to get everything in, get it rented, and show rental history for a DSCR loan refinance at the end of 24 months to get them paid off. So Sherry, you got my number. Feel free to reach out. I'd love to talk to you. By the way, guys, if you don't know it, Sherry Moore is a private equity, private money source finder. So she's got all kinds of different sources. She knows all kinds of people, and she is somebody who can get you the capital you need when you need it. So, okay, that's it. Got to get back to work. Got to go out and find some good deals now that I've told you guys about my bad deal. If you guys got value from this, like I said, always, always, always like, share, subscribe, tell somebody about the broadcast. You can even take the link and copy it onto your own page if you want to, but at the very minimum, show up, listen, pay attention, participate, and we'll all get through this together. All right, guys, God bless, take care, and we will talk to you